Hello, dear passengers. This is your captain speaking, and we are about to take off for another episode of Adventulina. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Adventulina. Hope your August is going well, and hope this episode finds you at the beach with a cocktail in hand and zero responsibilities. And if that's not the case, just hang in there and remember, you're not alone. Life over here has been crazy lately. I would say even a little crazier than usual, but what's new? I've been cooking some exciting things in the adventure in the kitchen, but decided to stay true to myself and keep quiet until last moment. I promise you though, you'll be the first ones to know, so stay tuned. Speaking of excitement, this week's episode is a little more special to me because I actually knew my guest prior to inviting her to come on the podcast. You know how life sometimes works with its mysterious ways, you crossing paths with other people and wonderful things happening? Well, last year when I went solo to Alaska, I crossed paths with Maya Custodio, also known as Maya Sunshine. Our bond didn't end with the end of the trip. We actually stayed connected because we live close here in the Bay Area in California. And here we are now, collaborating for an episode of Adventurina. Maya is a registered nurse with a big heart for public health, healing, and community care. Growing up in a Filipino family, she learned early on that health isn't just about medicine, it's about food, nature, people, and the way we show up for each other. Her love for global health kicked off during a life-changing experience with Hostling International, a program that opened her eyes for new perspectives and sparkled a passion for travel. We love to hear it. Maya is now all about blending her work as a nurse with what she learned from the world around her. She has been a part of few cultural exchange programs that bring people together from all over the world. And thanks to that opportunity, she was able to go to many countries, meet new people, and cross off some great destinations from her bucket list. And in this episode, we're going to talk about these programs, who they are available for, how is the hostel experience, and how in general traveling transforms you. You don't want to miss that one. Maybe there is something available to you that you don't even know about. And with no further ado, I give you guys Maya Custodio. Maya Custodio, welcome to Adventurina, and thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Of course. And also, just for the record, you are known as Maya Sunshine, which we'll get to. But as a beginning, I want you to kind of share with us, with my audience, a little bit more about yourself. Where did you grow up? How did you get into traveling? And how did your travel bug start?
Okay, I was born and raised in the Bay Area of California, but both of my parents immigrated from the Philippines in the 70s and 80s. So I was able to grow up with my big family. I have four sisters and two brothers. And I think that really shaped who I was and that I was really eager to like explore and meet other people. I became like very social ever since I was little. I think I started traveling as I went like to the Philippines as a baby. I don't remember any of it, right? But when I was in college, it was like peak COVID time. And we were home for like a while because my dad is like a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
But after the isolation was able to like open up a little bit, I was like eager to travel. I was like, I need to get out of here. Like I've been stuck in like I didn't have my first year college experience, and if my family's healthy, like let's do this, let's go. So I remember Googling like travel scholarships for young adults who've never traveled before. It was a very clear niche, I think. And suddenly I just found one cultural exchange program, and it was able to take me still within the states. It was able to take me to Chicago to meet people from Europe and North Africa. So that was my first time when the travel bug started, and then after that, dominoed effect. If you know the
Right.
feeling.
The rest is a history.
Yeah, the rest is history, definitely.
For a lot of people, the period after COVID was a great time to kind of rethink everything and be like, oh my God, I was stuck at home for so long. I need to start exploring because what if it happens again? It was just such a weird time that I think it gave a lot of people the motivation to start doing things that they've been postponing in a way.
Yeah.
So I guess one benefit from everything that happened was, we decided to finally do stuff that we didn't have time or courage to do before. So you have a lot of experience traveling now, and I'm kind of curious to hear what kind of traveler you are. Are you a slow-paced traveler who likes to go to places for longer period of time and just completely dive into the culture, or you prefer maybe shorter trips but more frequently?
Mhm. I really like how you mentioned how it like mind shift for us, right? We wanted to see what was really important to us, like what we would do if we didn't know what was going to happen next, and that's how we live like every day. So I feel like that influenced what kind of traveler I was at first, and it was kind of like I wanted to go anywhere as soon as possible, right?
I
And
love
then
it.
yeah, I think also being a student, you didn't have that much time. So I can honestly say I've never traveled for a longer period of time, but when I do travel, I like to be at least 5 to 7 days.
Hmm.
Um, just so that I can eat a lot of good food, try the touristy things, and get to know locals enough where they could show me around too. So I
Yeah,
really like jam packing my schedule as well. I don't think I sleep as much, definitely.
that's literally how I would shape my answer too, because if you have limited time, of course you want to take advantage of it and see as much as possible. When was your first flight? Where did you go to? And like what do you remember from your first trip?
I remember like I don't remember the Philippines at all. I think I was
Uh-huh.
3 or 4, right? So
Yeah,
technically don't count that at all. But my
fair
very
enough.
first one was like 2022 August. I was 20. I was 20 and I was able to go with my friend to Mexico last minute in Cancun. And I remember I didn't own a carry-on bag. I didn't own a
Mm-hmm.
luggage or anything. So I brought a really big military backpack that my dad had already.
Yeah.
And that was my first time using my passport too, since
Oh,
I
that's
got
awesome.
it, yeah, in 2017. I don't think I was kind of thinking. I was just like, hey, let's go for a plane ride. And we were there for like 5 days. Why? What was yours? I never like asked you either.
I have a lot of vivid memories from trips in my country with my parents because they would just take me everywhere. They never left me with like
That's
babysitters
right.
or like family members. We didn't live
Yeah.
close to any family members, so they would just drag me everywhere, which I love and I now appreciate because it kind of taught me from a very early age even how to pack. Like I remember my mom's like, "Oh, we're leaving tomorrow, pack your toys." And I would be like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited," just thinking about what to bring, how much space I have. I think this was very helpful for the long run. So the first trips that I remember, they were definitely in the country, in Bulgaria. But my first flight, it was way later. Like my first flight was, I think I was 20 or 21, and I was on my way to the States for a summer work and travel program. So I got to explore different places, mostly in my country before that. But my international traveling started in my early 20s.
Okay, so like since you grew up kind of traveling around, did you ever not like traveling? Because that's something I worry about. Like, do you think you can get burnt out from trips or traveling?
I don't believe that thing exists, honestly. I cannot be impartial here, but I don't believe you can get tired from like being jet lagged or just jumping from one place to another for sure. You can get tired, but I don't think you can get bored or tired to the point of like I don't want to do it anymore because there's always something
Yeah.
new to be discovered. There's always something new to be seen, and just the amount of things you learn while you're traveling on every single topic imaginable is just mind blowing to me. You're learning geography, you're learning history, you're learning politics, like everything in
Mm-hmm.
one, way better presented than they presented to you in school, I would say.
Yeah.
Way more digestible as well. I just remember always being super excited when a trip was coming my way. My parents would be like, "Oh, we're going to visit your grandparents. Like they live few hours away," and just the thought of getting in the car and having to pack my little bag would make me so excited. And I think this is something that still happens until today. The day
Yeah.
before I leave to somewhere, I'm super excited just to think of the whole process and just to pack my stuff. So I'm really thankful that they kind of engraved that in my mind at very early age, and I still carry it to this day, and they still keep traveling without me, like even more now. Their kids are away, no more money spent on them, so like they have time, they
Yeah.
have more money, and they're like going on their own. I think it was one of the best things that I could experience as a kid.
Yeah, and I think even coming back too from trips, we try to search more in our hometown of things that we saw when we were away. So like even when I grew up in the Bay Area, I would try to find the things that I saw somewhere else, like the hiking spots, the
Mm-hmm.
waterfalls. If I could be adventurous somewhere else, I should also find that in my own backyard, you know? So I think it kind of opens up our minds from things that we've been seeing like for all our lives too.
Absolutely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And speaking about like impactful things, tell me about your most impactful trip. Something that maybe changed you. Usually people have at least one trip or one destination that they experienced and it kind of changed them in a way. What was that trip for you?
I really do think it was the first trip that started my travel bug, and it was the cultural exchange program that was in Chicago, and I got to meet that was my first plane ride alone too, because when I went to Mexico, it was with my friend. So I remember I still didn't have a luggage. I didn't even know huge luggages existed, and I was there for
Yeah,
2.5 weeks, so I don't know how I managed, but I was able to pack for that.
with the
And I
same
remember,
military bag.
yes, with a military bag and like a duffel bag, I think. Yeah.
Hero, you're a hero.
So they're iconic. They're still back there. They're like my prized possessions.
Yeah,
And I remember meeting my very first roommate. Her name was Wawa, and she was from France. So the program was participants from United States, France, Germany, Lebanon, and usually Tunisia, but they weren't there that time. So she was the very first person I met from another country too. Like they didn't live in the States,
yeah.
and spending 2.5 weeks with them in a hostel too. So I've never been in a hostel either. Um, it just felt natural to me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think it was something like weird to adapt to. I loved the space, and I think meeting my friends there, because there was 4 people from each country about, it just made me want to go more. Like I was like, what else is there that I haven't seen? And I was only 20, so I was like, if this is what it's gonna look like, sign me up. I will
Yeah,
go anywhere the world will take me.
I love it. And I
Yeah.
I think when you first have the experience of hostels, it's just like, where else would I go? You have
Uh,
everything, especially when you travel by yourself. Not only the budget side of it, but the amount of people you meet. And the thing that I love about hostels is 99% of the time these people will be like-minded, because the fact that they pick this kind of accommodation, they're already open for new adventures, for meeting new people, for talking with strangers, and maybe even like making plans together. And speaking of hostels, I think it's fair to tell the story of how we met. It sounds like How I Met Your Mother, but it's like How I Met Your Maya, I guess.
this is our episode.
This is our episode, but I can tell my version first, and then
Okay.
we can go with yours to see what's the same and what's different. But the story is, I will try to like shorten it because I can go for a while. But the story is, last year I was going to Alaska for a solo trip, and I picked a hostel in Fairbanks. Why Fairbanks? I used to work for a company in Bulgaria that would send students to the US for summer work and travel program, and I have sent a lot of people to Fairbanks specifically. So I knew so much about this place, but I had never been there. I'm like, it's time to fix that. So booked the hostel in Fairbanks, went there. I went to my room. Who do I see? I see Maya on the bunk bed. And we start talking, like, where do you live? I'm like, I live in San Francisco. You're like, oh, really? I live in Oakland. And for the people who are not familiar with the Bay Area, Oakland is just across the Bay Bridge. So it's very close to San Francisco. It's like one hole from the Bay Area. And I'm like, how cool. Like, I came all the way to Alaska to be with someone from the Bay Area. Later on, it turned out that 85 or 90% of everyone in this
Yeah.
hostel was from the Bay
Everyone.
Area, which was mind blowing to me. Like, where are you from? Like, where do you live? San Jose, Sacramento, Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco, Palo Alto. I'm like, is this hostel booked only for people from Northern California? Like, what is going on? But it was very cool because in this case, we were able to keep the connection after the trip
Yeah.
ended, because for a lot of people you only meet them once when you see them in hostels. Like, you may really like them, but it's very hard to keep any kind of connection and relationship. That's what happened to most of the people I have met through my travels in hostels. But the trip to Alaska actually helped me stay connected with
Yeah.
way more people, mainly with you, which I love. And this is how you came on the podcast, so I love it.
Yeah. It
And
ignited our friendship for real.
it did.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now to hear your version.
Okay. I'm really trying to think too, because I don't know how long I was already in Alaska before you came. But all I remember is that I was on the top bunk and I was taking a nap. And I think you were like unpacking or something. You were in the corner in by the closet, and I was like, dang, this girl's luggage is huge. Like, she could fit everything in there. And then I think it was just, sometimes there's just vibe and you can tell when you can approach somebody or not. I think you were
Yeah.
just so warm enough to approach, and I was just like, oh yeah. And then you were wearing like a cute red jacket and you were like so stylish, and I was
Oh,
like,
I
that's why her
remember the
luggage is
jacket.
big. Yeah. Because she was able to fit all of the shoes, the hat, the jacket, and everything. And then I think one highlight I have of you and me is we went on a tour, I think.
Oh,
Did we
the
go
one
on a tour?
we went on a tour, and that was super fun because it was like the camping and the ride, and like there
Yeah,
was
with like a
fire.
wieners, with
Yeah,
like a
the
sausage
reindeer
reindeer.
sausage.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. That was so much
Okay.
fun.
And that's when I was like, yeah, we're probably gonna be friends because me and you fell asleep in the van, and it was
I
so
remember
late,
that.
maybe like 1 or 2 a.m. But then we saw the northern lights on your window, and that's when I was like, okay, we have to continue this relationship. Like,
Yeah,
we saw the northern lights together. It's
I
like,
know. That's a bond for life. Seeing the Northern Lights is on the bucket list of every traveler.
yeah,
For me, every time I do something significant travel related, it really creates a bond with the people I am doing this thing with. This was for sure part of our bond, just to like witness something that we both went to Alaska for. And I have great memories from this trip in general. I feel like hostel experiences most of the time are fun and you create connections, but this one was one of my favorite ones for sure. And
yeah.
really glad that we kept the connection and hopefully going on more trips together, this time planned.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see because I know you always like talking about like solo traveling, and I want to see what that looks like for you, like in an international scope. Like, that seems really cool. Like, do you have like a checklist that you have when you go international of like things you want to see specifically, or how does that work?
So my biggest example of solo trip in my life, that is when I came to San Francisco for the first time, because I was by myself and I was coming for an internship. And yes, I was going to work with coworkers and go to an office, but I was alone. I was by myself. I lived with strangers. I had to entertain myself and explore the city by myself. So I kind of consider that my biggest solo trip, just because it was like 5 months and I had to deal with everything by myself. Before I came to San Francisco, I stayed true to myself and I made a list with all the places I wanted to see and all the activities I wanted to do. And because I had 5 months, if not even a little more, the list grew to I think 67 or 68 different places and things to do.
Just in
So
San Francisco.
just in San Francisco.
Okay.
And when I got here, maybe after a couple of months, I started adding new places that I would maybe find on the internet or someone would tell me about them. So this list grew to 70 plus places and I was able to cross everything off. I was super proud of myself because I didn't know if I would ever come back to San Francisco. Similar to what you said earlier, I wanted to make sure I maximize my time, I use it in the best possible way, and I see as much as possible. little did I know I was gonna move here maybe a little more than 2 years after, and I would get to experience many other things. But the beginning, that was the beginning. So I would
So you
say
didn't know you were gonna stay?
I didn't know. I thought that was
Oh,
actually my last visit of the United States. I just came for an internship, and circumstances just happened. My life completely changed for, I want to say, less than half a year, and the rest is history. Here I am.
wow.
How many years? Like 7 years later, I'm still here. I mean,
Wow.
I went back home, and I moved here in 2020, literally 6 7 months after COVID started. It was a ghost city. It was a completely different place than the San Francisco I knew back then. So it was a little weird, but still loved it.
Yeah.
And I would consider that my biggest solo international trip, just because it took a lot of preparation when it comes to where I was gonna live, budgeting everything, kind of like thinking of how much money I would receive as payment from my internship and how I would just pay for all my expenses and stuff. So I think it was a big plan, not just when it comes to activities and exploring, but also how I'm gonna survive in this freaking expensive city, because we know it's not easy to survive in San Francisco, especially if you're an intern. But I had a blast, and I think everywhere I go, I just feel good when I'm prepared. I don't like surprises, and by being prepared, it's very hard to get surprised, I would say.
Yeah.
That's the reason that makes me plan better. I don't like figuring things out on the go. I like kind of having a clue what's going to happen. And of course, things happen all the time when you travel. There are, canceled flights, delayed flights. Maybe something's going to close due to, I don't know, the weather or something like this. Like, you have to be prepared for these things. But for the serious stuff, like, the more I know, the more secure I feel when I arrive.
Mm. Have you always been like a prepared person for traveling, or do you think you developed more over time? Because for
I
me, I feel like I I'm like going the opposite direction. Like before, I wanted to be like a lot more prepared, but now I'm like, like I do the minimal, maybe like a month before, and then I kind of just see where the vibes take me. So I think it's different for everyone.
I like organizing my trips, and for a long time I was going with full itinerary from the first to the last day, with activities from morning to evening. So I pretty much know where I'm going to be at any point of the day. But I was doing that because some destinations just require, tickets for events, tickets for museums, tickets for different attractions. So you have to buy this in advance to make sure there's going to be availability. And this helps with planning your day, because I have to be in this museum here, and this place only has tickets for Thursday, for example. Uh, I have tried to go on trips with like minimum preparation, and I honestly struggled with just going, because for me, I'm like, okay, we're gonna miss something. Like, we need to know what to see. Like, we need to see at least the highlights, the cool things. And next month I'm going to Singapore and Indonesia, and I have promised myself that I will do the bare minimum, because I want to experience at least one trip where I would just go and kind of decide every day what I'm gonna do for the day.
Yeah.
And especially for Indonesia, it's mostly like island hopping, so I think it's easier to do that. For Singapore, it's a city. For a city, I can plan it for like 3 4 hours maximum. It's very easy. So this one I planned, but for Indonesia, I think I want to be a little bit more adventurous. And not to say that I'm not, but sometimes when I'm planning and I have everything ready, I'm just like, okay, so what's next? Like, what time do we have to be at this museum? It kind of keeps you tight, if I can say
Yeah.
that, and you cannot branch out. So I'm trying, which is hard, because I'm like, okay, what if I just Google a little bit? I'm like, no, you
Some
don't.
wiggle room. You'll have
Yeah,
some
yeah,
wiggle room.
exactly. So this is gonna be my first challenge of this type, to see how I'm gonna do with trying to deassociate from the feeling of you're missing something, you're missing something. Like, let's see what I can check out without having strict plans. That's my plan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna see how that goes for you.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how
keep
that
your
will go.
fingers crossed. Keep your fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Because what if I'm like 2 days before the trip, I'm like, I cannot do it, and I start
Yeah.
doing like the research. I still have a list of places I want to see because, of course, you need to have at least some
Yeah.
kind of idea. But the most, I will leave it to the destiny. So I'll
Mm.
keep you updated.
Okay.
And we talked briefly about the programs, the exchange programs that you participated in. Do you want to share a little bit more about these programs you were talking about? Who are they available for? What's the duration?
So this program that I participated in was through Hosteling International, the USA chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So they have they have three programs. The first one is the IOU Respect Cultural Exchange Program, which is the one I participated in that was in Chicago. But they rotate each year to each country. So this year they are in Egypt, and the previous year they were in Germany. So they take turns at staying at different hostels. They're for people aged 18 to 26. And they select about four young adults from each country. So they don't have to necessarily be students anymore. They just need to be able to participate within 2 to 3 weeks of the program. And inside, we are able to like participate in facilitated discussions that talk about like cultural barriers that we may have, interactions, or things that we didn't have before. Sustainability is a big one because like Hosteling International really tries to focus on having intentional travel practices and like
Mm-hmm.
keeping our earth clean. So I thought it was really cool that like aside from like having fun, getting to know people, we had like a cultural night too where each country got to represent um like their music, their art, like specific pop culture. We also just got to talk as young adults, like problems that we're having in the world, or just things we need to vent about, or how we can become like a global citizen and establish international relationships. And that was just so eye opening for me and how I wanted to partake in like my community and how I can pursue like my education as a nurse with like cultural education. So I think Hosteling International was able to provide that fully paid also. It was a fully paid trip,
Amazing.
flights. We all stayed at the hostel together. We were all in like bunk beds, like of six, and they had excursions everywhere. So that was also my first time taking public transportation by
Wow.
myself because like growing up I drove everywhere. My family didn't
Yeah.
like me taking public transportation, but my friends, like from Germany and France, like they loved taking the what is it called, metro? I
Yeah.
think it's okay. Yeah, they love taking the metro, and they were showing me how to navigate. I was like, I don't even know how to do this, and they love walking too. I remember not being used to walking like long distances, 30 minutes to an hour
Mm-hmm.
or an hour and a half. But my friends love taking night walks. I think that built my like stamina, and it made me love walks, like being in walkable cities. It made me think of other things that like structures that aren't set up here and
Mm-hmm.
compared to like other countries. So yeah, Hosteling International was able to provide that for me, and it kind of just started there. And they even have two other programs. They have the Explore America scholarship for um individuals who haven't traveled alone within the states, and they can go to any state in the US. And then they also have the Explore the World scholarship, and they are just required to stay in a hostel and document their journeys. And it's typically for young adults who are very new to traveling or haven't traveled before. They even
Mm-hmm.
have a part where it's for people who don't even have a passport. So they cover you to get your very first passport. So, yeah, that was how I was able to go to Egypt this past April through the Explore the World scholarship.
That's amazing. That's an amazing opportunity, and it's so interesting for me to hear about it because I guess I'm not in the right group of people to hear about it. But do you feel like things like this are kind of like not that popular? And if yes, what is the reason? Do you think someone is like gatekeeping it because it feels like if it gets so popular, there will be less opportunities for the people who
Mhm.
are already introduced to it?
I think for me, it's really hard to gatekeep because it's like I
I want to
remember
share.
yeah, I remember when I did them, I was like that was the first thing I posted. I was like, these are the things that are out there, people. Like, let's do it.
I
But I
love it.
also think hosteling culture is just not as popular in the United States. So nobody really knows what hostels are, or they already have like a preconception of what hosteling is, and they're like, oh, I don't want to stay in a room with random people, or
Yeah.
they like more privacy, or just depending on what luxuries people prefer. I think that's why it's not circled back around here, at least, because it's just not as known. But I see it growing a lot more lately,
Hmm.
especially if people want to have affordable travel or young adult travel or just wanting to meet more people. I think it's slightly growing.
I see more Americans going to hostels abroad, maybe specifically Asia. I would say there are a lot of digital nomads. There are a lot of people, like young American travelers, who go to hostels there. Maybe it's just a mindset shift from
Yeah.
the hotel culture, and also the affordability. Like, why going for 7 days staying in a hotel if you can go for 20 something and stay in a hostel? Of course, if you have the time, it's not always just a budget. But I feel like a lot of people are missing on the hostel experience without even giving it a chance. It's
Mhm.
like they heard a story from someone, or what they imagine is like a nasty room with 20 plus people. And like, you can always take a look at the photos, you can always read the reviews, and you can
Yeah.
also book a room with maybe only 6 people or 4 people. Sometimes they have three. It's like, it's very different, but it's not for everyone, for sure.
Remember telling my family. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
what
family
did
were
they think of that?
my dad was like, why are you don't even know these people? Like, why are you going to be living with them for 2.5 weeks? And then I remember my friend, she was like, are you sure you want to go? Like, and I was like, what? Guys, come on. I think it was nice too that I've never traveled before that. So
Hmm.
I didn't really care. I was just like, I want to
That's better
go.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the less I knew the better, and it turned out well
Agree.
for me.
Amazing. Speaking of hostels, some of the best travelers' interactions come from hostels. So I'm curious to hear, what's your best interaction, and like maybe your best story of meeting someone at a hostel after the one with me. Just kidding.
I know. I was like, does yours not count? But okay. But I think good question. Honestly, I think it was in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
I was going in between two hostels. So I was going from the one from Giza into downtown Cairo. And my friend was leaving. She was only able to stay with us for like 3 nights. So I remember us walking to her Uber so she could go to the airport. And I guess it's not technically a hostel interaction, but it was right outside the hostel.
Okay.
And there was a group of people sitting there, and they were just like, hey, you want to join us? And I was like, yeah. And like nothing, no questions asked. I just sat down. We grabbed like a bite, and I like it turned out that one of the people that asked me to sit down was a tour guide. So we were just all able to hang out and explore together. Like I think it was like when I was taking a bus to Alexandria, they were able to help me with that. They were able to show me all the good food spots. I had the best shawarma ever. Um, and I think it just, like I kept telling you, like it's just an energy you feel at first.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask my parents, like don't let them know that part that I just started
Of
walking with
course.
you. I think it was like 1 a.m. too. And
Oh
I
my
think,
God, let's not show
yeah.
them this episode.
I know, like censor your ears, please, Dad. But yeah, I think that's just the craziest for me because I if you ask me like at 17 or like as a kid, I would be like, "What are you doing? Like this is
Yeah.
crazy." But I'm happy with every single part of that trip.
I agree with you. Like, some things that you would think of, like, oh my God, I would never do that ever. This is so dangerous. When you start traveling often, you kind of open yourself for more, and you're kind of trusting people more, which
Mhm.
of course you should always be kind of on alert when you're, especially when you're by yourself. Safety comes first, but it also brings some faith in humanity in you. It brings some trust.
Yeah.
And if you're in a setting like you were, you're in front of the hostel, there's a group of people, might be 1 a.m., but sometimes if the vibe is right, you can tell that if you stay with these people, sometimes you feel better if they're like more girls, for example, or if they're like a little older than you, maybe. It depends on the type of group, but I agree with you. I have done some things during my trips that I would not like to share with my parents. Sometimes it just you do it and then the next day you're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just hung out with complete strangers." And
Yes.
maybe in hostels it just feels a little bit more safer because it's more of like a community. It's not like you just picked up, people from the street. So that's what I love, especially for female solo travelers. It feels way safer if you interact and join groups like this.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend hostels for like solo female travelers
Mm-hmm.
100% over a hotel just because you're going to meet. I feel like in hostels, I mostly see women too. From my experience, it's mostly
Yeah,
women.
true. Even now thinking about it, back to the hostel we met at in Alaska, it was 90% of the people were female solo
Yeah.
travelers. And the only guy that was with us, I even remember him saying, "Oh my god, like everyone here is a female solo traveler, like I feel like I'm the only guy." And him saying that actually made me pay attention, and I'm like, that's true, everyone here is a female solo traveler, we just came together. That was another cool thing that I feel like it made that trip so special. Everyone was on
Mhm.
their own, but we were able to come together and have fun and do some things together.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing about hostels too. I just feel like the activities, like the people usually helping in the hostel, they want to offer you like things to do. They offer like any recommendation. And when you're with the new people that you room with, they're more than likely to hang out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, what do you think your strength is when it comes to traveling? Like, what is your travel superpower?
Girl, I don't know. I
You
think
you have at least one. You have at least one. I know it. I know it.
Travel super-
Your superpower should be you going on a 2+ weeks trip with a military bag. Like, I would consider that a superpower.
No, because I remember I had to ask you how to pack for certain trips. It's not even, I think I was just
Oh my
underprepared. I
god.
think my superpower then is to just adapt. I'm just really good
Mhm.
at adapting with my surroundings, with people. I think, like you said, when we have like the best interests of humanity at heart, we cannot do anything wrong.
I
And
love it. I love
when we're
that.
trying to travel with the intention to learn about like a culture, a community, an individual, um, it makes it all the better. Like there's always something good to do, something fun to do, someone good to meet.
Mhm.
It's all fine. And the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's all good. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a very important thing, being adaptive, especially when you travel. I usually think of, oh, I'm good at planning, I'm good at packing, I'm good at whatever, but this is an answer that I didn't even consider. So thank you for sharing. That was awesome.
No, okay, that's another thing though, but I think I'm also good at making friends who are good at planning, aka you are really good at planning. My other friends are great at being the planner, so that I'm good at being the
Yeah.
the rest.
It's always beneficial if someone can take care of the trip planning and you can just come along. Like for me, it's like, let me do my thing. You just need to show up, the rest will be
Yeah.
taken care of. And other people are like, I don't want to do anything, just tell me when we're leaving and what I need to pack. I love it. I don't mind being the person who will take care of everything. It gives me freedom, and I
Yeah.
love people who are down for anything because it makes me even more creative with planning. But now on the other side, what's the travel thing you suck at? Is that the packing thing?
I
Like you
think it's I was gonna say I think it's probably the packing, under preparedness thing, or the it's probably the packing thing because I feel like I shop anytime I travel.
Uh-huh.
So I remember in Alaska, I didn't have snowshoes because I never been to the snow really. And I also didn't have like, are there waterproof socks and stuff? Yeah, okay. It's
Yeah.
definitely the planning part. So with packing, I'm terrible at. Yeah.
Which brings us to another story, which is how we packed over messages. Like, I need to give a little bit more context of how you and I were exchanging messages for packing for your Egypt trip.
Oh, yes, yes.
So,
Okay.
like,
I was
I,
like packing.
I have packed
Yeah.
with people physically being with them. I would be in the room and be like, put this here, put this there. I have packed with people over FaceTime. Okay, show me and I'm gonna tell you. But I had never packed over text messages.
Text.
It was just so funny because you would send me your list with stuff and I'm like, put this here, put this in the shoe, put the shoe, whatever. It was just so funny because for some reason we couldn't FaceTime. And I was doing something else and I was just on my phone and I'm like, hold on, I need to tell my friend how to pack. My friends are like, what?
I remember too, you were like, you can put shoes in different places or they don't have to be put together. Only fold one, like fold it once. Don't forget to listen to my episode. And I was like, okay, I will listen to that. I will only fold it once. And
like taking notes.
Yeah. I was like, got it.
When you mentioned earlier that you saw me with my big ass suitcase, that is actually one of the 2 times where I brought this suitcase to a trip for the last maybe 5 years. I hate checking luggage in. So when I started packing for Alaska, I, similarly to you, didn't have much stuff to take when it comes to like winter clothes because we live in the Bay Area. There's no winter here. You may have some cute boots to go to the club, but this is not what you need in Alaska. So I had to rent all my stuff from Sports Basement. Sports Basement, that's not advertising, but if you hit me for a collab, I'll be there.
Hit her up.
So yeah, I rented everything from Sports Basement, and when I started packing, I don't know, I was extremely delusional that I was gonna fit everything in a carry-on, and just one of my jackets basically took half of my carry-on. I'm like, what about the boots? What about the other jacket? What about any like cosmetics and stuff? It was physically impossible. I don't know what I was thinking. So I remember packing. I was right here, and I was packing. I'm like, this just cannot happen. It's just physically impossible. I have to bring my big suitcase, which I hate doing because I'm very paranoid about, the airlines losing my stuff. And that was the reason I was with this big ass suitcase. Otherwise, you can only catch me with my carry-on, and that's the best for me. I don't have to think about, the carry-on getting lost, and I have everything with me all the time, which I love. Do you check in luggage a lot?
No. I don't think I've used I finally have a checked luggage and I have not used it yet.
But you have it now, so that's good.
Yeah, now I have it. But now I was trying to reflect on Alaska. I was like, I had a carry-on. Like, what did I even bring in there? Because I didn't have scarves. I didn't have a beanie. I think I had a thin headband. Like, it didn't even protect my scalp from the cold weather or anything. So now that I know that I can check in luggage, if it's included, yeah, I'll check it in for sure. I realize now that I need to invest in an AirTag though, because I don't know if I was texting you one day, like that my carry-on had to be checked in because it was too heavy for international. And I was so scared that I lost it. And I was like, that's it. I can't do anything.
That's the feeling that makes me not want to check in luggage. And I have my carry-on with my AirTag. And Air France 13 years ago, or maybe 14, traumatized me so much that until today, I may have my carry-on right above in the overhead bin. I may have my AirTag in, and once I land, I'm gonna be like, let me check where my luggage is. I'm like, girl, it's right there. Like, what if I fell asleep? Someone took it. Like, where is this person gonna go? We're still on the plane. It's just like not seeing your luggage on the baggage claim and having to claim it because it's lost or delayed is the worst feeling, at least for me. It's just very traumatizing to the point that you never trust the airlines anymore. It doesn't matter how advanced the technology is. It doesn't matter how much they promise you. I just always think of my luggage as, bye, if I don't see you anymore.
You're horrible. Like kissing it goodbye.
It's horrible. It literally turned me into a paranoid person to the point that I would go to check in my luggage and I would talk to the flight attendant. I'm like, you're not gonna lose it, right? But can you promise me you're not gonna lose it? She's like, who is this girl? Like, what is she talking about? I almost want to request like a written form of something that is guaranteeing me they're gonna bring my luggage to my destination.
The reassurance,
it's the worst feeling. It's like you're waiting for something that you don't know if it's gonna show up. And I'm a little bit more comfortable with like nonstop flights because this eliminates the risk of the luggage being lost where your layover is. But still, I would just avoid it at any cost. And sometimes I go to the gate and they're like, oh, group C and D needs to, give out their bags because there's not enough room. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I was here on time. I did not check in luggage with that same purpose because I didn't want to give it to you. And now I'm here just with a carry-on. I did everything possible to fit all my clothes in a carry-on just so I don't have to check in luggage. And now you're telling me that I need to give it to you because you don't have enough room. That's not my problem. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
yeah,
know why they
it's
keep having that issue with like not having enough space for
because they
carry-ons and
overbook and it's just it's the
uh
way they always do it. But I literally stopped giving my bag, like even a couple of times. The last example I have is when I was in Bolivia at the gate. We were checked in, and then she comes to us and she's like, oh, you need to check in your bags. I'm like, but we're only with a carry-on. If I'm at the gate, I'm already only with a carry-on. She's like, yeah, but we don't have enough room and your seats are on the exit row. And I'm like, okay, even if I'm at the exit row, I can still put it, in the overhead bin, because the thing for the exit row is you cannot have your personal item
personal,
in
yeah,
front of you
under.
either.
Hmm.
So I guess their point was, since your personal item will take the space in the overhead bin, we need to check in your luggage. But why don't you ask other people? We're taking the exit row, which usually you're being asked for. Why don't you ask other people, like, we're here first? It just didn't
Yeah.
make any sense. So they put a tag on my suitcase, but I was just like, no. And I was slowly going towards the plane because we were boarding from the ground, not from a sleeve. And I just ripped the tag and I just hid it in my pocket, and I just carried my carry-on, and I'm like, well, prove it. I mean, you didn't see it, it
Yeah,
didn't
and why did
happen.
they choose you, like specifically? Just because you were in the exit row, or like why?
I don't know. They just came to us. I feel like we were the only people who they thought didn't speak Spanish. We both speak Spanish, but maybe they're like, oh, these tourists, we're gonna target them. I don't know what the reason was, but she just didn't give me any valid explanation. So I'm like, if you cannot give me a valid explanation, how am I gonna be sure that you're gonna take my carry-on to my last destination? So that's a no-no for me. Made it safely because it was just over my head. So
Yeah, as long as you could see it, like your heart will be like, do they want you freaking out while on the plane, or do they
oh,
want you calm, reassured with your luggage with you? So it's like a
that's what I'm
battle. They gotta
saying. That's what I'm
choose. Yeah.
saying. I'm curious also, with your experience and the places you've been to, if you could tell anyone where they should go, one country that everyone needs to have on their bucket list from the countries you have visited, what would that country be?
Is it biased that I say Philippines because I'm
Not at
Filipina?
all.
Okay,
Not
so
at
I
all.
think
I don't
everyone
think
should
so.
be.
I
I
hear
think
I hear that
everyone
answer
should
a lot,
go.
not from people that are not from the Philippines. So
I think there's just so much like different kind of ecosystems in the Philippines you could visit. Like there's the beach part, there's the city part, there's the province part. And like speaking from me and like my family upbringing, like we love to host, we love to be with people. We like to have gatherings. So I just feel like if people want to appreciate culture, it's a wonderful place. The food is good.
mhm.
And but I do think it's a place you need to be at for at least 2 weeks. Like I firmly
Okay.
believe that, just because there's so much, and especially from out here, like the flight's really long, like 15-ish hours.
Yeah.
So I would hope they want to like maximize that time, and I think it can cater to all different types of travelers. Like I don't know about hostels in the Philippines. I gotta look into that, but the hotels and things are affordable in the sense that you can stay in any part and there's always things to do. Music's good too if you like to
Mhm.
dance and sing. So that's
What
my
is your
hot take.
favorite place in the Philippines? What's your favorite region, for example, and what would you recommend to people who are going there for the first time and have the
Mm.
2 weeks time?
Mm-hmm. I really liked being in Cagayan de Oro. I went there with my dad. It was a lot different than we were in the city side of Manila where he grew up. He's from like Makati. But I really liked Cagayan de Oro because we were able to go to like a very high point that had like a very long, what do you call that? Like a bridge, like
Mhm.
a, what do you call those bridges that just like move sometimes?
The
I'm really big on
suspension
seeing.
bridges? The
Yeah,
susp-
like a suspension bridge. Yeah. So I'm really big on nature, and that was the biggest place I saw with so many trees and visitors, and the sunset was beautiful. My dad and I were even able to go to the adventure park that was connected to it. And he did a zip line, and my dad is 72. So like him wanting to do
Wow.
the zip line was my favorite part. Like he was
That is
screaming.
awesome.
Yeah, I just think it was super fun, and that's my highlight. Yeah.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Ding.
Is there anything about traveling that you dislike? You know, there's some people who don't like the airport experience, other people struggle with packing, or maybe like being jet lagged and stuff like this. Is there anything that you dislike from the whole process?
Mm. I really hate airplane bathrooms. I just
Okay,
hate like the airplane situation, I think. I can't I can sleep like real fast on airplane, but
that's
with the
amazing.
bathroom, I feel like my digestive system is not doing what it's supposed to do like on a normal basis when I'm
Mm-hmm.
flying, and it takes a while to adapt. Other than that, I think also me adapting to like new foods maybe when I'm going abroad, because I want to try almost everything. So I have to learn like how my body's taking in all the sweet treats and stuff. That's my only downside.
Okay. Well,
What's yours?
uh, I mean, not to repeat myself, but checking luggage in. This it's not just a dislike, it's like a genuine hatred. I despise the feeling of like not knowing if it's gonna show up. So this is the only thing. Like, I don't mind the airport experience, I don't mind the airplane experience either. I cannot sleep on a plane, but I'm kind of used to that. Even 12 or 13 years later, after this happened to my luggage, I'm still scarred for life. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
time heals. I'm like, when? When am I gonna be healed from that
yeah.
trauma? Like, I wanna be more chilled when I go to the airport, having to check in bags. So that's my only dislike. Yeah,
That
that's
that's a
it.
good. I think that's a valid dislike, I would say. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
I don't know if it's an advantage or not to happen this early when you start traveling, because as I mentioned, I started traveling internationally in my early 20s. I was like 20 or 21. So, was it a good thing that it happened back then? So I experienced it at the very beginning, or it would be better if it didn't happen until nowadays, for example. I feel like despite me being kind of like traumatized and scarred from this experience, I would rather it happen, earlier, kind of like
mm.
expecting it and having the clue in my mind, okay, it may happen. This is probably better than just living my whole life without never losing a bag, and
And
then
then it
just
happens.
and like, how do I handle it at this age? I'm a completely different person now. Have you ever thought of what your life would be if you weren't traveling? What would you be doing? What would your other hobby be? Have you thought of this? Or you
I
just
always
like,
think of this. No, I always have this like what if scenario or just reflection. I always have like self reflections. I feel like every quarter.
yeah.
And I think for me, I would have done a very like traditional route of school. And I would have worked right away. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was school, career, death, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would have found what my other passions were outside of like what I was going to school for. And it at least with um like starting traveling at 20. No, we were like at the same age starting, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think starting at 20, we have time to figure it out. And when you get to meet more people, you always have time to figure it out. Like it does not matter what age you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are in different tracks of life at all ages. And I think it gives me less like anxiety about it. I was very like an anxious, structured, perfectionist person before traveling because I
Okay.
always felt there was only one way to do something and I had to do it right. So I feel like that Maya would be like, "Girl, you crazy." But now she's like, "You're proud."
Yeah.
Um I think about that a lot, a lot. I don't know. It's just so life changing. And it's very like a privilege for us to have. Like even just me and you talking about this, it's such a privilege to get to experience what the world is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes I think of people who have the opportunity to go to places, they can afford it, they have the time, they have the passport, because as crazy as it sounds, having the right passport also matters.
Yeah.
And I see people like this who do not take advantage of having all of this. They just prefer to stay in their, comfort zone. They don't get to explore much. If you make good amount of money, if you have the passport and if you have the time, you should just go, because one day you won't be able to. You may not have the resources, you may not be physically good. I just wonder what these people are thinking of traveling to not want to do it, if that makes sense. Because,
Yeah.
some of us, we're budget travelers and we use every opportunity to go somewhere. We're looking for, different deals and stuff. That's how we manage to go to places. And there are people out there who can afford everything, but they just don't have the desire to go. And I have always wondered, what is the reason for them to not want to explore? I'm trying to get into the brain of a non-traveler, if that makes sense. What do you think is a reason for some of these people not to be interested in traveling?
I think, like you said, like the comfort zone, like if they're feeling there's nothing out there for them and they're okay with how their life is, it's not really something they look out to. Like for me, when I was searching for scholarships, I wanted to like change things up. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess if people want to continue what they have, I connect a lot of mine to like what the earth is, and I think of like how we can best like appreciate it and see it, and like in order for us to see it we got to go to these places and like see the people that take care of it. So I think it's just a whole like connection thing for me.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, do you think?
I have always been interested in the arguments of these people. I'm not judging, I'm just curious what would make you not want to go. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, the world is so big, there's so many places to explore, so many things to be seen. So for me, it's always like, why? Why don't you go?
Yeah,
And
you're like, I can't figure it out.
I know, and for me, I have my next 20 destinations like lined up in my head. Like I'm trying to organize, where do I go first? How do I save
On our
money for
free
that?
time, yeah. We like
I
search up on our free
know.
time.
Yeah, and like there is someone out there who has the money, who has the time, and they're like, I'm not interested. And that blows my mind, because they have the things that we want to be able to afford traveling more often, but they're not taking advantage of it. And I vividly remember a conversation with someone I know. So I was asked the exact question, I think I've shared on the podcast before: why do you travel so much? And you know me, so I don't usually shut up ever. After this question, I was like, I was blown away. I was speechless for the first time in a long time. I was like, how do I answer? Who would ask me why do I travel so often? It was just so weird. And I remember staying there for a few seconds. I'm like, well, why don't you travel? Like I just couldn't come up with anything better than just replying back to the question with a question. And he said, well, I'm, working on my first million. I'm just trying to make as much money as I can. And in 10 years, when I have my first million, that's when I'm going to travel. And I remember in that moment, something literally hit me. I love people with plans, I love people with goals, but there is certain, even arrogance, for you to think that you can predict the next 10 years. Like, what if you walk outside tomorrow and God forbid you get hit by a bus? What if, God forbid, something happens to your family and you have to take care of them? You cannot say with such confidence that in 10 years you will have your million and you will be out there living your best life. Nothing is guaranteed. You don't know. I'm an optimist. I'm a helpless optimist, but sometimes you have to not speak about things that are out of your control. This is life.
Right.
Everything happens. And yeah, you may have your million by then, but you may not be physically good, because oftentimes we see people who are only focused on making money. They give up on their health to make this money. So then
Mhm.
they pay the money they made just to cover their medical bills. It's sad to see that. But for me, the thing that hit me was like, oh my God, this person really doesn't even think of the possibility of something bad happening to them. And especially after COVID, like we talked about this earlier, maybe it's not a good idea to make plans for such a long run. Maybe 5 years is too much, because we don't know what's going to happen even next year. The world is a crazy place right now. So many things are changing. So him saying that literally made me think, wow, some people really think they have time. And some people don't even consider the possibility of you not having that much time, not having as much time as you think you have. And it even made me more motivated because it was like a nice reminder, not to sound cheesy or over dramatic, but it was a nice reminder that we all are going to be gone one day. And I don't want to live with regrets of, oh, I should have done this when I was younger. I'm going to do it now. I'm not going to wait for my first million or when I'm going to retire or when I have time or when I have money. Either do it now or deal with the regret after. And somehow I always end up not being able to establish connection with these people. It's just a pretty different mindset that we don't really have much to talk about. The fact that you're primarily focusing on money and you're gonna sacrifice experiences for a full decade. It's not like he said, oh, I'm gonna go in March. He was talking about 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
Like to sacrifice all kinds of experiences to accumulate a million, I really don't understand it. But maybe that's me. Again, no judgment,
No,
just not my
yeah.
type of people.
Yeah, I
I
agree
guess.
definitely because it's also just we will never know how our health will take us. And I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe it takes like you need to know somebody to feel this way, or like you have to have a specific experience that will help you shift the mindset. Because I feel like for me, it was with my parents, like when both of them were battling like their cancers, it was kind of just like we really don't know what lies ahead. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the the freedom that we have, like the free will that everyone's talking about right now, like this is where we can decide how we would like to spend our lives or like cherish memories. So if it is for some people like working, it's for some people working. And like you said, it's
Yeah,
just it's a hard way to grasp it. But fortunately, I guess we can choose to find people that align with us. And that's why we're
exactly.
here.
That's why we're here. Exactly. Well, I think coming to an end of this episode, at the beginning I mentioned Maya Custodio, also known as Maya Sunshine. Do you want to explain a little bit more about this nickname? Because I'm going to ask you to share your social media handles where people can find you, follow you, maybe ask you questions about the different programs that you mentioned. So maybe a little story time about your nickname first.
Oh yes, yes. So my name, fully is Maya Sunshine. That's like my entire first name. And I was named after my mom, and it is from the lullaby "You Are My Sunshine," and she kind of just like mashed up my sunshine into my sunshine, which I think was
Love
very
it.
clever for her. Yeah, and
Yeah, it
I think
was.
it's a great way for my family to like be uplifted in that way, and it's a very
Yeah,
good like conversation starter, so I really have it for
exactly.
it.
That's why I thought it's good to, to mention it, let people know why. And
Yeah.
tell us where we can find you. What's your Instagram handle? Is there a platform where people can check those programs you were talking about?
Yes, my Instagram is Lil Miss Maya, and on my linked or not like my link in bio, it includes like the different programs that I mentioned for Hosteling International, and includes like different hostels that I visited ever since then. So you can
Awesome.
find me there.
We love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on Adventurina. I had a great time, didn't doubt it at all. So I wish you many more happy trips, many more happy travel experiences, and I will see you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This was all for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. As you now know, Adventuring is available on YouTube. Go give Maya some love in the comments, follow her on Instagram, follow her journey, see where she's going next, and stay tuned for more surprises and more guests coming. Thank you again for tuning in, and don't forget to hit subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.